Hello, my name is Grace Runza, and this is my IT project about patient mortality rate in relation to different US regions. So to start out, my research questions are, how do patient mortality rates fluctuate based on specific regions in the US, and how does this correlate to patient interactions and experience? So for my variables, my independent variables were the regions of the US, including the Northeast, Southeast, South Central, North Central, Mountain, Pacific, and other. And then my dependent variables were the mortality rates, including mortality rate, readmission rate, pain management, rating, recommendation, discharge communication, nurse communication, and doctor communication. So starting out with our univariate analysis for our independent variables. So first we have our Northeastern region. But as visible by the data set, there's a 13.22% of hospitals that were located in this region, which gives you a total of 976 hospitals in this region. For Southeastern, there are 15.64% of hospitals in this location. That's 1,155 hospitals. In our South Central, when I actually calculated this into the SAS program, it didn't provide me with accurate percentage. However, I was able to determine that there were a total of 1,644 hospitals in this region. For the North Central region, there was a total of 31.01% of hospitals, which gives you a total of 2,290 hospitals in this region. For the Mountain region, there was 7.53% of hospitals, which gives you 556 hospitals in this region. For the Pacific, there's 10.35% of hospitals, which gives you 764 hospitals in this region. And then for other, which is all other locations that weren't given, when I put this into SAS, it also didn't really give me proper percentages because the data was lacking certain information, but I was able to get the data that there were 7,385 hospitals that were not part of any other region that were provided. So now moving on to the univariate analysis of our dependent variables. So we have our mortality rate. When you are looking at this, we were able to see all of those different analysis variables, and all the data that was provided was representative of an estimated 8.7% to 17.2% of the mortality rate. For our readmission rate, most representative estimated of a 15% to 22.6%. For pain management, it's estimated 45% to 98% of our pain management rate were represented by the hospitals in the data set. For our rating, you have an estimated 41% to 99.8% for all the hospitals that were represented. For recommendation rate, you have about an estimated 33.3% to 99.8%. For our discharge communication, you can see that there were 60% to about 99.9%. For our nurse communication, you're given 55% to 99.8%. And for our doctor communication, you're given 62% to 99.8%. So in summary, for all of our univariate analysis, for our dependent variables, for majority of the graphs, they're representative of about 50% and above. There were a few outliers, but overall it was regularly about 50% and above. And for our univariate analysis for our independent variables, majority of the hospitals were located in our North Central region. My hypothesis is that the data sets for the regions that are more rural locations are going to have lower ratings, lower recommendations, and a much higher readmission rate and a mortality rate. Moving on to our bivariate analysis for all of our dependent variables, you can see for our mortality rate, Northeastern region has our highest mortality rate and the Mountain region has the lowest. For readmission rate, the Northeastern region has the highest and the Mountain region and the North Central region tied for the lowest readmission rate. For pain management rate, the South Central region had the highest and our Pacific had the lowest. For our average rating rate, the North Central region had the highest and Northeast had the lowest. For our discharge communication rate, the North Central had the highest and the Pacific had the lowest. For nurse communication, the North Central region had the highest and the Pacific had the lowest. For doctor communication, the South Central region had the highest and the Pacific had the lowest. So Overall, when you're looking at all the different linear regressions that were done, my hypothesis is that the highest percentages have some of the best healthcare systems, quality improvement measures, staff members, EHRs, and overall patient satisfaction. The North Central region had the highest percentages in majority of these categories, and the Pacific and South Central region had the lowest percentages in majority of these categories. So for my new policy implementation, I want to improve overall ratings of quality outcome measures to look at the population size of the region or specific area and demographics to determine how to best suit the population. For example, if there's more of an increase in the geriatric population, you would like to see an increase in medical clinic options for seniors and providing counseling. If there's an increase in younger generation, you want to be able to provide more daycare opportunities and aftercare care centers. Keeping the ratings high will allow hospitals to succeed and gain revenue over time. My conclusion and final thoughts, this study was designed to answer research questions regarding the mortality rate of different hospitals spread throughout the United States and how that affected other quality outcomes. Being able to see the changes of positive and negative correlations allowed us to understand the main issues with each region and how we can better address those issues in the healthcare setting. Understanding how mortality rate and other rates play a role in overall success of a hospital is key to making sure that we're providing the best medical care possible. Overall, this was a successful experiment, and I do look forward to participating in future research. Thank you.